I've done some stupid things in my time, but this has got a rate among the top 10. Anyway, what the hell? Welcome to Between the Lines, the Journeyman's Tales. Well, I can't believe how long it's taken to get myself sorted, really. Old age doesn't come alone. I'll sit down for 3/4 of an hour and have a cup of coffee after I've got the bivvy up and the bed all sorted, and it took a bit of faffing about to get the rods in, but they're done now. The left-hand rod is a hinge stiff rig fished over towards the reed bed in a 8 foot of water in a silty gully with an orange Northern Special on it. On the middle and the right-hand rod are straight out in front of me, just over the back of a gravel bar, just as it's beginning to get gravelly, just that transition period, I hope. I've got a Ronnie rig with a Northern Special on and a Milky Bee wafter on the other rod. And over the 2 rods in front of me, I put 4 small spons of live system mixed up with some milk and nut bag mix, heavily dosed in some fruit liquid. So that's me sorted. The water temperature is quite impressive actually. It's 8.4. It's a lot more than I thought it was going to be. Bearing in mind that the air temperature this week is probably, I don't know, heading for 15 degrees lower than it was last week. It's quite incredible really, but here we are. So I've heard buzzers going off behind me on the other lake, so presumably somebody's having some action. I'm just waiting for my turn. Anyway, as soon as something comes along, I'll be back to you. Well, that was a very quiet night. Got a little bit of rain on and off, but not too much, and it was a bit frosty first thing this morning. But the sun soon came out and the sky soon cleared. It had been big blue skies, but been watching the water for most of the morning, and I haven't been able to see anything moving around. I haven't heard of anything being caught. So I've refreshed the baits, put a little bit more spod mix out on the middle rod, the right hand rod, and the only bleep I've had I think was of a coot. It's always the way, isn't it? So fingers crossed for tonight. If nothing happens tonight and first thing in the morning, I think we better call it a day. If something happens later, we might stay for the 3rd night, who knows. Anyway, fingers are still crossed. Respooled the reels with some new Gardner GTHD line. Followed the instructions as per the video. Guaranteed no line twist. Oh, I just got tons of line twist. Followed the instructions, turn the spool over if it's twisting up. So laying it out on the floor, walking it out 80 yards or so. Run it through your fingers a few times, get the twist out. When I was getting ready to come out for this trip, I put on my merino socks that I bought on recommendation from Facebook, and both the heels are gone on them, and I've had them 9 months. They haven't been overly used because I haven't been able to get out fishing that much, so most disappointed. Somebody asked me on Facebook a while back were they warmer than the Bridgedale ones? Well, I did a not particularly scientific test. I had Bridgedale on one foot and a Merino on the other foot, and they were the same sort of warmth, but the key to everything for me is longevity, and these Merino wool just haven't got it. The Bridgedales I've got over 10 years old, and they're still working just fine for doing the job they're supposed to do, keeping your feet warm. So maybe I'd think twice about replacing them now and sticking with the Bridgedales. Anyway, food for thought. Well, at last the storm has abated. It's probably the roughest weather I've been out in for the last two and a half, maybe 3 years actually. Not often I have to put the door up on the bivvy, but the wind was swirling around the back of the bivvy and driving the rain straight in, so it was a bit uncomfortable. But needless to say, from the lack of videos of fish, I haven't had a run. Still haven't seen anything since the first time I got here, and I think it's time to start packing away shortly. I could stay another night, but probably not particularly sensible. But anyway, thanks for watching. Well, this is the second outing to the Oxford Syndicate, and you may have already have spotted I'm in the same swim, which wasn't by design. I've had a good look around the areas that I can easily get to. I'm walking around the far side is beyond my capabilities now, but unfortunately on the road bank of Unity there were already 2 guys there, so adding another 3 lines out didn't seem to make sense to me. I did have a look at Yeoman's with a swim I quite fancied, but unfortunately as soon as I started leading around to find the magic spot, so to speak, the guy round the corner made his thoughts known by recasting his baits right across technically my swim. 10 years ago I might have said something. It's easier to walk away now, so I've come back to a swim that I know. There's a light, it is quite a light westerly, southwesterly breeze moving across. I don't know what the water temperature is, I haven't taken it. Seems a bit irrelevant, to be perfectly honest. I'm fishing slightly further out in front of me this time to a gravel bar, or the back of a gravel bar actually, and I've got one again in the silty gully over by the reeds. I put over the ones in front of me 6 buds of the same mix last time, the 10mm live system with the crumb, but I've added some corn this time, and I put a couple of spawns over towards the reed beds as well, and the coots have got their heads down on the distal at the moment, although they haven't touched the baits yet. But nice, it's a nice bit of overcast cloud at the moment. There's a little bit of drizzle in the air now and again, but anyway, I would have thought it was ideal for a bite. I would have thought the fish would be moving around. Certainly up this end. There's no reason why they wouldn't be up this end. It's not driving cold wind anymore. Anyway, fingers crossed, and hope something happens this trip. Anyway, I'll get back to you shortly. Well, good morning. It's been another very quiet night, very much like that trip before, and the start of another groundhog day by the look of it. Haven't seen anything, haven't heard anything, been watching the water for the last 2 hours since dawn. Although it's clouded over a bit more, the sunshine's disappeared. The only exciting thing that's happened so far, I don't know if you can hear it on the mic, but there's a woodpecker in the woods behind me. Apart from that, nothing exciting's happened. And there's a few coots diving, that's about it. Anyway, anything changes, I'll get back to you. For many years I've been using the bait buckets as my table in the bivvy, and a good number of years ago I glued some foam to the top of one of the buckets so I could leave my rigs attached. So as soon as you land a fish, you can just change the rig over very quickly. But then I started noticing after a while, occasionally on a morning when you get up, you notice there's teeth marks in the boilies, or on the worst occasions the actual rig has completely disappeared, which is obviously mice or rats coming in the night, finding the food source, either eating it on the spot or dragging the rig off and eating it elsewhere. And I have found the rigs around the swim in the morning, so I stopped doing it. But kind of little ruse I came up with the other day. Now I've stopped taking piles and piles of pills every day. I got a pill box left over, so what I've done is cut a small slot in the front of him so I can drop the rig in and stop those little mices nicking the baits, but I can still keep the rigs nice and handy, ready for use, which isn't happening a lot, but as the weather gets warmer I'm sure it will. Well, it's now mid-afternoon and I've actually seen 2 fish. One was around the middle of the day. It was a massive, great head and shoulder right out in the middle, out of everybody's range. And the second one was about 1 o'clock-ish. Didn't actually see the fish, but there was a mighty swirl, and it was on the bay on the end of the reed bed there. It's about 20 wraps. So I've put a bait over that, and it hasn't been back since, but I'll probably leave it there till dark. Might not leave it there all night, but we'll leave it there for a while and see what happens. But those are the only shows I've seen so far. Well, good morning. A bit of a strange night. Left the left-hand rod where it was, because that fish that showed just before dark showed 2 more times, right over the top of the rod, but didn't pick it up. Recast it this morning and it wasn't hung up on weed or anything. I mean, it's difficult to know what the lie was, but it certainly wasn't hung up on weed or anything. Then about 11, had a very strange up-down run. You'd have thought it was a bream run, but as it happened, it turned out to be a tench. About £3, not particularly big tench either. So something had moved on to the spot in front of me and started feeding, unfortunately not carp. And I've just seen one stick its back out the water in the middle of nowhere, actually, not over any baited area. And that went down, hit the bottom. Other than that, very quiet. So if it stays that way, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you fancy subscribing, don't forget, hit the bell button and you'll be informed when it all kicks off again. Anyway, cheers for now.